Okay, silent. Here we go. Okay.
Climb maintain 13,000.
13,000, 63.
463, contact the New York Center, 128.3.
28 for Agent Blue 63, good day.
On Approach is a flight sim and aviation enthusiast podcast featuring the week's top user-submitted stories and news on the skylounge.tv. Aha! You almost thought I forgot my lines, didn't you, Kevin? I saw your face. You were like,
yeah, I was expect. Do you know that since we recorded a long time ago, we recorded the shows and edited the shows, and you kept messing up that line every time, even after 70 shows. Now, because we're live now, you didn't fuck up once.
That's true.
I commend you for that.
That's true. The pressure of being live, it definitely changes things. That's for sure.
Makes it right.
Yeah, definitely. Out there in the chat, hello, Daryl D, Mr. Steve. How's it going, guys? Welcome, welcome. All right, so
we're only two today.
Yeah, it's only two of us. Mr. Sparks must be he must be sleeping in, which is perfectly fine. You know, you have those days. It happens.
There's not a lot of news.
Exactly. It's a slow news day anyways. It really is. So, we'll see if the chat can think of anything else for us to talk about towards the tail end. But other than that, how was your week?
Kind of a mess. I've been all over the place. Going to sleep at like 5, 6 a.m. and then pushing it to like 10. So I was working at night a lot this week, and I kind of broke it today. I drank some wine yesterday, and that knocked me out. So I'm kind of back in cycle, but not totally. We'll see tomorrow morning.
You're becoming an old man.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But other than that, the week has gone well. Time is flying these days. I'm quite happy about that.
Good.
How's been your week?
When you get older, you don't hope for time to fly anymore. So today, I turn on DirecTV, right? I have DirecTV, and the movie Perfect Storm is playing, and it's about George Clooney's a fisherman. That shit's crazy. He's off in the water fishing. On the boat is Mark Wahlberg. He's the greenhorn, right? The new guy on the boat. And I was like, oh, I love this movie. And I said, when did this come out? And I look it up, dude, 2000. So I'm like, wow, okay, 2000. I was like, whoa. It's 2019 right now. That was almost 20 years ago.
Yep. Time flies. Absolutely crazy.
And then we started talking about the year 2000 and what we were doing on the year 2000. Kathleen says that one of her neighbors down the street had fully prepared for the end of the world. So the garage was stocked full of stuff because the world was going to end. And then we started talking about, that. And obviously the kids are like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? So we started explaining, everything's run by computers, and a lot of computers weren't prepared for the switchover. And we never knew what would be
Except
affected.
they were.
They were and they weren't. They were and they weren't. So I, at the time, was working at a hosting company, server hosting, ad hosting company. And we did web hosting as well. And even though we had done our due diligence on all servers, we still spent the night in the data center. Just in case. Just in case we spent the night in the data center. Our routers, I clearly remember, required firmware updates to handle the year 2000.
This is so incredible.
It really is.
Think about it.
It's like they didn't think that we would hit that year.
They thought it would be the end of the world.
Oh, totally.
In the chat, write up, where were you in the year 2000? I wanna read about that.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, where were you in the year 2000? Exactly. I like keep that stuff coming in the chat. That's a great conversation. And we were trying to explain to the kids, right? It's like, how do you tell kids people thought the world was going to end 20 years ago? So maybe it'll end tomorrow.
And why?
And why, right? So it's like, imagine if we couldn't go to banks, right? If the ATMs were offline or banking systems were offline. Imagine if, you know, the millions of people that ride a train could not ride a train today because the train systems were down. That means everybody's at home, on the road, desperate, unable to get things that they need, unable to get to places. The potential for grocery stores to shut down because of computer systems, stuff like that. I mean, it could have been bad if all of those things were actually, you know, something that that was likely to happen. Fortunately for us, for the world, it wasn't likely to happen, but it was more just a mystery of the number, right? It was like, ooh, the year 2000, what's gonna happen?
Yeah,
mystery.
Another interesting time span. We kind of bridged the link to FSX 13 years ago. 13 years ago.
Wow.
Can you imagine a 13-year-old kid?
Oh,
right?
wow.
Picture that.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of amazing.
I have one.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
13 years. Just bringing that up.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, like Daryl says in the chat, he says time flies when you get old. You get tired more faster as well. He's not lying.
That's true.
I just came from upstairs. I came down the stairs and I was almost out of breath. All right.
Amazing.
Let's roll on with the show. We don't have too much to go off on tonight, so I'm gonna bypass the intros just past introducing mine here, and we'll get right to it. Here we go. Ah, beautifully executed, Edson. The interface just peeks out the top. Submitted by Mr. Gibbon. Aeroplane Heaven publishes more previews of the E170 and 175. I have to say, I could use another regional. And I say that lightly because I have the CRJ and like it a lot because it gets me into these regional airports. But I don't find myself often choosing it because I don't feel 110% comfortable flying it. And maybe this is a sign. Edson, get into the CRJ, fall in love with the regionals like you think you will, and then get ready to pick up this bad boy because these Embraers are nasty. I like them a lot.
They're easy to fly, though.
Yeah? Are we talking about Airbus status right here?
We're talking beyond Airbus. We're talking you flip a lid, you put the toggle to on, and the engine just starts themselves.
Oh, come on. Yeah?
Dude, oh yeah, it's there's a very strong Airbus mentality into the Embraer, which is quite interesting because Boeing tried to acquire them, which I kind of find funny. Yeah, there's a good resemblance. There's a good resemblance there.
Interesting.
It's a good regional plane. It's a really good regional plane. It's we have a lot here in Canada with Air Canada, So I do see them flying a lot in and out of airports, and yeah, I guess they're just part of the scenery right now. I'm glad we're getting a good one now. The old one was made by Wilco that we had a long time ago, with the flat 2D autopilot panels.
Oh man, the old Wilco stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad someone's taken it on, and I'm glad to see that they're also building it with PBR.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting.
It's
and
like
an
virtual
interesting partnership
these
as well.
days.
Yeah. Very interesting partnership as well. I'm glad to see that happening.
Oh, wow.
Airplane Heaven's definitely good with modeling and textures. Feel there have been good with systems in the past. I remember using their systems, and it was pretty good. So very happy to see that.
Wow. So you know what? We just got Mr. Sparks in the chat. A very grumpy Mr. Sparks in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. So there's one thing we failed to discuss at the top of the segment: the time change.
Time change.
The time change. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, can we get a round of applause, please, for Mr. Sparks that lives on the opposite side of the world that doesn't observe the time change? Hey.
He left the channel.
So get on in here, Mr. Sparks, if you're around. Yeah, so I also got a good luck message with the CRJ. I really want to. I love the stuff by Turbulent Designs, et cetera, that, you know, those beautiful regional airports, Orbex, right? So many of theirs are not international airports, but more regional airports. CRJ's perfect. The Embraer's perfect for those airports. I mean, it's a great way to explore the world in these regionals. So once I saw that Aeroplane Heaven was working on this, sold, bro. Sold. I can't speak to the systems that Field Air does because I've not had deep experience with the Field Air equipment yet. But I can say that on the visuals front, Airplane Heaven are going to handle this, bro. Look at this already.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
Very good. Those are to be fair,
it's
those
a rendering.
are rendered.
It's a rendering.
Yeah. But that gives us, and that kind of brings on the topic of ray tracing. The day we have ray tracing is the day we'll have those visuals in our sims. Reflections of the wing and stuff like that. Mm-hmm.
There's so much to the way that the human eye sees the world. There's so much science behind lighting, texture, you know, materials, etc. That, you know, PBR, I think a lot of people felt like PBR was the ultimate answer to everything. Like, it's the tip of the iceberg, right? Like, these technologies are just starting to catch up to what the human eye can do and build 3D models that can fool us into thinking like that is legitimately real. You know, a 3D artist will always be able to tell what's real and what's not. A 3D artist knows where the shortcomings of proper 3D art come in, right? And lighting and texturing, etc. I mean, you try and fool anyone that works, you know, at a 3D house, they're going to pick it apart in a minute. They're going to look at it and say, yeah, this type of lighting we can't replicate. Yeah, this is why I know this is fake. Things like that.
The cool thing is that now real math is being used comparable to the real world. It mathematically calculate what the real world does.
Yeah.
We're getting to that point, and that's kind of the ultimate point, because once you cannot pass that. Like, real math is real life.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not having any trouble believing that in a few decades from now we'll all be living into a VR universe, you know, and won't be able to distinguish from reality from virtual.
Well, it's cool, right? Because yeah, X-Plane, they get that trophy already, right? They've been rocking PBR stuff for a while, and I've seen Val Dudes doing repaints on stream and how he works the textures and how it affects it, because he paints the layer and then also loads it so you can see the differences as he's making. He's like, oh, that's too reflective. Goes back, less reflective. No, that's not really steel. That's more aluminum. Goes back, retouches it again, etc. And it's really cool because it gives an organic feel to the model. But it's like the PBR torch, X-Plane carried it for a long time. Now we're starting to see it over in P3D. This latest update by the folks at PMDG, the 747, holy moly. Bro, I dropped atomic bombs in our screenshots channel in Discord the other night. I could not stop photographing that aircraft. And when I showed Kathleen, she was like, did somebody actually paint me on a plane? And I just laughed. I was like, no, babe, that's real. That's the latest update that came out. You know, and it's like, so we're finally catching up on a PBR side, but the carrot has already been moved forward. Now, bring on the ray tracing, right? Bring on the ray tracing, which our cards, our hardware is already beginning to enable support for that. So now on the software side, we've got to catch up once again. I guarantee you, on the day that X-Plane or P3D picks up that torch first, and then the other follows, I guarantee you the next carrot will be shifted and we'll have a new buzzword to talk about on what's next, dude. Until the day where, like you say, we can live in this weird VR world and be completely fooled because we've been able to mimic everything that the human eye can see.
I think the math is there. I think the hardware needs to catch up. The mathematics are all understood. They're able to replicate. You look at animated movies, right? They're all rendered on farms during year-long render times. But the math is right. And light bounces around and fools us, essentially, into thinking it's real.
Yeah.
And that's going to come to video game. I think it's just a matter of like 10 or 20 years. And then we'll have reached the top. There's no more real than real.
Yeah. Are we going to get Sparky in here? Let's see. We'll see if we can get Sparky pulled in here. He's just waking up, probably grabbing a cup of coffee. Some additional comments. Airplane Heaven states that they plan to model the E170 with traditional winglets and the 175 with the newer winglet option as well. So you'll have multiple variants and multiple options, which is cool. The 170, 175, the 190, 195. Let's head over to our friends at FS Elite and see if they've got anything else in there, screenshot-wise. Aha! Look at that bad boy.
Reflection of the wing.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, and the winglet variant as well.
Yeah.
If you look at the winglets, that's well, they retrofitted some of them, but it's not that was not in the older version of the Wilco.
That looks pretty dope,
Embraer.
Dude. That looks pretty dope. I'll be in this plane. I'm telling you.
It looks great.
Telling you. I'll be in this damn plane. They fly these in South America as well. Popular.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to tell if it's the Embraer or if it's the China replica.
Yeah.
Right?
They have a knockoff, right?
Yeah.
Hey, how about that sky texture, though? We need that in Sim, too.
Oh, that's coming. Exit Viro.
The day is coming soon, dude. The day is coming soon, that's for sure. I've been playing with new sky textures myself. Yeah, I mean, it never stops, does it? It's a constant chase for that visual nugget, man. It's just constant. Anyways.
I agree with that.
All right, let's go on to the next. Whoa, this one's submitted by Mr. Appy. New Aerosoft Lukla Mount Everest previews and Aerofly FS2.
Ooh.
Dude, so I have been waiting for this scenery for a long time. The Lukla scenery is absolutely gorgeous in P3D. Sloped runway, the whole 9 yards. I've complemented my Aerosoft scenery with photoreal for the region as well, so it looks like this. However, come P3D V44, it stopped working. You get weird black tiling all around, and the runway has oddities as well, and it's just a very inconsistent scenery. So I've been waiting for the release of the update. And I never would have guessed that it's first coming to Aerofly FS2 from Aerosoft. Lukla Mount Everest was originally released for FSX back in 2006. In 2016, it was announced that the entire scenery is getting reconstructed from scratch by the Lime Sim and the S3DD team. Dude, they announced this 3 years ago, and it's almost coming out.
Well, the resolution seems pretty good.
Yeah, it seems solid. Of the scenery, right? Not of the person.
Yeah. Yeah, the scenery. Not the plane. Yeah, I guess it's for a simulator that is restricted to specific regions. It absolutely makes sense for them to release that scenery for Aerofly.
Yeah,
because it's an incredible location that people will pick up and fly into. It's a very mountainous area. Totally worth it. And it's crazy to think that they've developed the technologies to be able to develop those sceneries across platform. They could make it for X-Plane, they can make it for Aerofly and P3D, and even FSX, and they probably have to design it once and export them in different formats. It's beautiful.
It's absolutely stunning, man. Oh, look at that.
Sky needs a bit of work, but
yeah,
that's not
definitely.
their problem.
Dude, this sim runs so incredible too. So incredible. I will tell the story time and time again, man. At the the Flight Sim Expo, Orbex had their booth set up, and they were running VR in Aerofly FS2, showing off Innsbruck. And I jumped in. It was my first time in VR. Doing flight sim. Not my first time in VR, but my first time in VR doing flight sim. And dude, I did not want to get out. And I was told there was a line of people behind me just watching me do aerobatics in an extra 300 over Innsbruck. Bro, I was ripping it up. No crashes, upside down, tail down, upside down, bro. It was the most amazing experience. And it was easy to lose yourself because there were not constant reminders that you're rendering this, right? In P3D, for example, you get that micro stutter every now and then. If your system is tuned, you don't get the micro stutter, but you still get the, yo, I'm loading your scenery because you're within a few miles stutter. You know, you still get, there are little cues and reminders that like, man, I'm in a sim. But in
there's a feel. There's a feel in P3D for it.
There's a feel. There's definitely it's hard to describe things in a physical sense, but P3D feels like thick and heavy, and this feels fluid and silky. And dude, it's the number of frames, right? It's what your brain is processing based on the number of frames that they cut in front of you. And dude, it was so incredible. It was so incredible. And I can only imagine that experience with that higher frame rate in an Orbex scenery with an even higher resolution headset on the day where we have a headset that like is a Daft Punk style wrap. Oh my gosh, bro. That day is coming, and you know that day is coming.
Oh yeah.
Like
that's a reality I want to live in.
It's gonna be a wrap, bro.
200 degrees field of vision.
Oh, in a helmet. Oh, yeah. In a helmet.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That's the future I want to live in.
That's the future, man. And you know, it's funny, on the topic of VR. I saw a video today. I want that sun, by the way. I saw a video today of a guy that lived in VR for an entire week straight. Have you seen that?
I saw that. I've seen snippets of it.
I saw the whole thing. I watched the whole thing. So I saw his whole journey from like, yo, this is cool, I can do this, to, oh my gosh, how am I supposed to drink my coffee, to spilling his coffee on himself, to I'm feeling lost, to I have no motivation, no inspiration to create because there's nothing inspiring me to create, which is what we see outside, right? Walking down the street, going for a hike, driving down the road. You see things that inspire you to create things as a creator, and he wasn't getting any of that. All the way to the end where it became this weird, like almost Zen-like experience for him. And, you know, he took off the headset and he was like, whoa, you know, this is crazy. Now, granted, he did have moments where he was able to see what's in front of him through the camera with augmented reality, right? Because some of those headsets have augmented reality. And so he had two sets of headsets. One that he had to wear primarily all of the time, which is obviously the sealed, you know, VR headset. You need to exist in this world. But when cooking, when eating something, when using the restroom, whatever, he wore the augmented reality ones, so he could at least interact with the outside. But it was weird because it was a rendering, right? So it was like he lost track of time and would sit and watch sunsets or play video games that had time of days to try and give himself a semblance of time of day. He watched the SpaceX launch with people in VR chat.
Oh shit.
So it's like he was interacting in a virtual office where he did have windows to see outside. He pulled up live streams of like things outside, you know, like mountain camera or whatever, you know, those cameras that are wildlife cameras and stuff. Yeah, crazy, bro.
I'd like to see that happening, but in a more scientific context, where you can actually do research on that, because it's interesting to me how far we are still from being able to live a VR life.
Yeah,
right. Because there's so many things in life that we depend on that VR just cannot give us right now. So I'm curious to see what the future lies there.
He also mentioned getting deja vu very strongly, and it's weird because in real life, in front of you, everything that you choose to do, if today I go and I get in my car in the morning, and tomorrow I go get in my car in the morning, and the third day I get in my car in the morning, every single time I get in my car, there are other people living their lives around me. Maybe one day I see one neighbor, the other day the train passes, the other day the train doesn't pass. There are variances, right? But in the world of VR, it's like I'm going to launch an application. It launches exactly the same every time. It's exactly the same sequences for every damn time. And he said the world became, it was just, everything was like deja vu. It was like claustrophobic even for a bit. Like, that's crazy. Where you would think that you feel like, oh, the world is my oyster. And one of the cool things is how he got liberated from that feeling was Google Earth VR. Have you seen Google Earth VR?
I've been inside a Google Earth VR.
It's wicked, right?
It's one of the greatest experiences you can have in VR. It's absolutely amazing, just sitting on top of a building, looking around in 3D. And
he felt liberated,
real
bro.
Scale.
Yeah, he was like, fly out to Paris and, you know, just kind of sit for a bit, look at the Eiffel Tower, walk around.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a week to spend on that, like, the amount of places you can visit is just incredible.
Buffy Foster in the chat says, virtual TPS reports? Look, I'm sure that if there ever comes a day where we are able to exist in VR and solely in VR, or let's just say mostly in VR, there will be ways to make work in VR as well. There will be ways to monetize that ecosystem, that sub-world, and you will be filing TPS reports inside VR.
But that's one thing with VR that I think is going to improve, where I feel it's going to improve our lives is working. Because right now, if you have to work at a computer, you need multiple monitors, fill your space. In VR, you can have the entire world around you can be a screen. You can put a window right here. I can put a window right here. I spend on a headset. I don't spend on thousands of screen. And when I remove it, I'm in my house. There's nothing there.
The day needs to come, though, where VR to us as simmers means that the world does not end in this aircraft that we can smoothly transition out of this aircraft, out of it, into a VR virtual world, still with our headsets on. Maybe you just press a button and it's a pre-recorded action, right? Just like in Star Citizen. The guy gets up and you see him get up and then poof, you're outside, right? And then we can continue to explore the world in that VR sense. We can walk over to that car. Maybe another developer has released that car as a vehicle, and we can get in that car and we could drive away through Terra Flora trees onto an Orbex airport, and maybe we can hop in at that airport into another plane and fly to another. Oh, dude, that's the dream. That's the dream.
Yeah, you kind of already can do that. There are some vehicles available already. There's avatar mode. It's not smooth.
Transitions, right? The transitions have to be there. That experience, Sparky was streaming Star Citizen. I have to say, I have a great amount of respect for how fluid the experience was. Where, you know, it was organic that he could walk into a dealership, look at a spacecraft, walk in it if he wanted to, walk out, walk into his, press a button. He's like a smooth, fluid action of like sitting down in front and adjusting his seat, and then now he's flying, you know? Everything was there was never a break in the immersion or the scene. Like, never. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the sim world that I absolutely dream of. You know, I tell Kathleen, it's like, if I can type and use the internet, don't pull the plug on me yet. Because it's a portal. Like what we see in front of us, these are portals of escape. You know, exploring beautiful airports like this are experiences.
And I think it can be a great medical thing as well. Like you said, it's an escape, right? If you have a disability, you have something that happened in your life preventing you from doing something that you want to do. Flying is an example. Trucking is an example. A lot of activities in life that you have some requirements and some people just can't do them. VR just brings that to them. And it's an incredibly powerful thing. Absolutely. Incredibly powerful thing.
Buffy Foster says in the live chat here, says, that was the only thing I liked about flying in Second Life, where we could get out and do other stuff as well. But that platform is so old and kind of lame now. I never knew that Second Life had flying.
Second Life has everything.
That's interesting.
I have a friend that created the internet on Second Life.
Oh, that's
he had
amazing.
A room full of servers and an virtual server system.
Wow.
And it's absolutely crazy what he can do with Second Life. But yeah, that's true. It's an old system, but the concept is going to come back. The concept is going to be reworked, and we'll see a lot of that coming into the next decade. I'm sure of that, because that concept works so well with VR and where we're going with tech. I'm sure.
Yeah, back to the scenery. You know, it's easy to talk about VR when the scenery looks this good and the environment looks this convincing. You know, Aerosoft, really, really nice job so far on this. And an interesting choice in the primary platform, but I see it. I see it happening, you know. Aerofly FS2 is a very, very strong platform. I mean, even Orbex is developing for Aerofly FS2. You know, it's like they're not going to make a bad move. You got to go where it makes sense, and there's definitely a future in Aerofly FS2. And the sloped runway exists in this, which is cool.
Yeah.
You know, I was really hoping
textures as well.
Yeah, great resolution. I agree. And I was really hoping that sloped runway wouldn't be, you know, kind of vanished. But it does exist, which is cool. Detailed rendition of Lukla with its famous sloped runway. I am not going to pronounce that, and I am not going to pronounce that. Airstrips nearby. Detailed rendition of Mount Everest. Customized VFR objects in the area, including monasteries, scientist camps, and Mount Everest camps. New aerial and satellite imagery covering a larger area, including some of Tibet. That's nice. That's actually further than my my photo reel for the region extends. Detailed terrain mesh and other cool stuff. Sky5 for that post, sir. And a big thanks to our friends at FS Elite for initially posting that story. Good stuff.
Buffy talked about the twatter. I do believe it's the Aerosoft one because it really does feel like an Aerosoft twatter. I don't know if if Aerofly comes with one, but the modeling and the texturing reminds me a lot of the Aerosoft one, so I would bet on that.
That's interesting. I didn't. How did he pick up on that? You're right. Aerofly does not have a default twatter, but Aerosoft has a twatter.
Yeah,
it lives, and I'm glad because that plane hasn't aged anyways.
No. That's true,
truly
right?
Hasn't. It truly hasn't.
I think it's the only airplane in P3D/FSX that I can think of that never aged.
Yeah, exactly.
It still looks perfectly fine. After over 10 years, I'm just blown away by that plane.
Yep. So the only thing I did was a mild update on the dashboard. I installed my GTN 750 into the dash. It does work with the default surround, so it's essentially like rendering the GTN without a frame, but inside the surround of the standard 3D model of the GPS that's installed. But it works great. It works great, and you know, in a plane like that, it's definitely helpful to have those terrain warnings yelling at you, because it's definitely the kind of plane that you fly in those regions.
Yeah, true.
All right, an FS Elite exclusive, brand new information regarding TFDI Designs PAC-X.
PAX or PAC-X?
I don't know.
Or PAC-X.
Maybe it's just PAX. PAX.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it's PAX. PAX. Whilst it was formally announced back at Flight Sim Expo 2018, TFDI Design has been awfully quiet on their progress with the newest product, PAC-X. There have been some teased on their Instagram and Facebook accounts as of late. However, we are pleased to be able to exclusively bring you... I love you, Callum, you exclusive bastard. Bring you some brand new information regarding the product, the new product along. I swear, I'm getting him a t-shirt that says exclusive on the front. I swear to you, it's going to happen. First, a bit of background. PAC-X and Passenger Crew Experience has been designed and built to give flight simmers the opportunity to simulate the responsibility any captain would feel when traveling with passengers and crew down the back. PAC-X will give you the opportunity to pass on messages to the passengers and interact with the cabin crew in a dynamic and engaging way. Pretty interface.
Yeah, pretty good. It reminds me of Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Oh, yeah?
A bit. Where you can see the list of guests and how they do, if they're tired, if they're hungry, how much money they have left on them. You know, stuff like that.
Yeah, you've got a little
like that.
Passenger list and statistics.
I remember when they first announced this, they were very heavy on the speech detection, and we're seeing none of that in that preview. So I'm wondering what's happening with that, because I'm excited to see people shouting at their computers again.
Yeah. See people throwing things at their computer again.
Yeah.
So there was a game that I used to play at the arcade all the time, and I want to say that it was a Japanese game. And the game was you're landing a 747, and it always just starts before the runway, right? You're gonna land it, and I think I want to be able to describe this correctly, but my memory isn't that great. But I want to say that you had like a rear view mirror of the passengers, and that the goal was to land with the least aggravated passengers. And the crazier you made your moves, the crazier the passengers got. They got nervous, they got angry, etc. I like the concept of kind of interacting with passengers. You know, I think there's something really cool about that.
Yeah, there has been FS. Well, there's still is FS passengers,
I love FS passengers.
It hasn't been updated in over a decade now.
I love FS passengers. The thing is, the guy's disappeared, man. He went kind of silent on his forums for a long time, and the people were defending him for a long time, like, oh, give him some space. But finally, he got time where it's like, we paid money for this shit. Can we get anything? Like an update? Is it dead? At least just come and like put the nail in the coffin so that we all know to never expect an update again, right? But please don't be like the Join FS guy that says, here's the nail, I'm sealing it up, and then fucking 48 hours later he's sitting there with a crowbar, pulling it out of the grave and throwing updates again.
Oh my god.
I know we met in person. But my friend, you said the product was dead and you keep updating it. And there's no auto updater, so it makes us update our server. It makes us update our pilots. Oh my god, it's killing me. It's killing me. So I say put the nail in FS passengers. It's dead. It's dead. I'm excited to see something pop up that will potentially fill that gap. But FS passengers did a whole lot. A whole lot. Did. So I'm excited to see. They're confirming it will be released before June 1st, 2019.
Okay. I'm excited to see what's up with that.
Oh, wait.
Pretty cool.
What else is in June? That's FS Expo. Oh,
yes.
I like it. Mr. Crawley, Mr. Darren, good morning, everybody. All right. That's it for the news today. A bit slow on releases and stuff like that. So, in this time, I'll get to worth mentioning and ask the chat to throw out any topics or questions that we can address once we get the end of the list. So that said, folks out there in the live chat, hit us up with some questions. Clear the throat. Fly the Mad Dog X gets a development update. New news on that MD88 expansion pack. Windows 10 update causing severe in-game performance issues. I can confirm this. And I have an interesting story. I uninstalled it, right? It's KB448-2887. I found it installed. I uninstalled it. And guess what, Kevin? When I go to shut down my computer at the end of the night, I go to my Windows menu and I have two options. Do you want to update and restart? Or do you want to update and shut down? I want option 3. Option 3 is what.
Dude, you know what you do in these situations? You press and hold the power button.
It's terrible. Yeah. So basically, then obviously I went on a Google search. How do I shut down my machine without updating? Bro, there pretty much is no way. There pretty much is no way to shut it down. So some people were like, if you log out of your profile, then you could go to the shutdown menu that's on the login screen of profiles. Nope, they updated that. So registry edit, deleting the file that it downloaded pre-installation. You delete that, so then what happens is you can shut it down and nothing happens, and then in the next day it'll re-download again. You can turn off, obviously, auto-downloading. But big pain in the butt. But I can confirm that after removing that, my performance has once again returned. I documented that in the shop in our Discord.
And it's across the board, right? It's not specific to some games. It's across the board, right?
It's like, Destiny 2, Sea of Thieves, and beyond. There's a bunch of things. The thread itself is over on AVSim. So unless you're a PMDG employee, you can go and visit that site and check out the thread.
Shots fired.
Speaking of, so PMDG says, you've pushed Humpty Dumpty off the wall. We're leaving this place and never coming back, and I'm not telling any of my people to come here for support, so you can visit our forums. And I'm strolling through Facebook, and what do I see? A guy in a P3D forum crying about something wrong with his PMDG, and what do I see? None other than the CEO of PMDG himself doing tech support in a Facebook group that doesn't belong to PMDG. So but
he's always done that.
I know. I'm not knocking the fact that he's doing that. I'm just saying how this must have gone down that he will provide support in a Facebook group, but not on pretty much unarguably the largest flight sim forum that exists today.
Well, I can see where he's coming from. The thing is, right, if they have their own forums, which is totally fine, totally cool with that, most companies do, he's going to spend his time there. And, it's going to multiply his work if he is to support another forum as well and spend time on AvSim, because now you have to spend time in 3 locations, right? And people on AvSim will keep posting on AvSim if they keep responding on AvSim. So just cutting it off, I think, is kind of a smart decision in what they're trying to do. Facebook group obviously is kind of the biggest thing right now where you can reach the most amount of people.
And I have to say, he was very helpful. He really was very helpful.
Oh, yeah. And with all the misinformation that circulates in social medias these days, you kind of have to have a presence on
everywhere
Facebook to alleviate that. Yeah, everywhere.
Everywhere.
So,
all right. Traffic Global Early Access receives an update to 1.1.1.0b. Imagine Sim provides more previews of rain effects, PBR effects. At Singapore. So you want to check that out if you're interested in that scenery. Dead Stick Bush Flight Simulator, road release, early access, release Q2 2019. Yes! PTA gets an update to 2.64. Airfoil Labs debuts Pioneer Field in Alaska. India Foxtrot Echo updates the F-35 Lightning for P3D V4.4. Tailstrike Design shows off more Reggio di Calabria previews. The PMDG 747-400-8. -8? Yes, -8/8. Queen of the Sky 2 PBR update released. And like we said at the top of the show, it's absolutely beautiful. Really is. Some IL-2 news on Bodenplatte. Big lately, IL-2. They're pushing a sale. It's been picked up by more people in the Sky Lounge. More people on Discord are playing it. It's picking up some steam. And Lewis, I still blame you for my dislike of that interface, because I really dislike their interface. It's your fault, Lewis Bloom. True Earth Great Britain South and Central. SP1's incoming. Explain Free TBM 900 gets another update. The DCS F-14 launches next week. Everyone's waiting for that, man. All the military pilots are waiting for that F-14. Myself included. I would love to have that F-14, but I'll take the F-16 any day first. Another FSF Elite exclusive, PhotoSim Labs Bahamas previews and release info. The VC-10 Professional, Standard, Super, and RAF from Just Flight. Coming soon. AOA Simulations releases an upcoming F-35A user guide. That's for X-Plane. They're getting a beautiful F-35. So we have an F-35 that, and I believe the F-35 is PBR ready.
Default.
Yeah, I think I think it's default PBR now with the last update.
I don't know about the only knowledge that I have of a PBR plane coming with P3D is the F-16. I don't know if the F-35 is. But I must say, looking at the screenshot of the F-35 for X-Plane, I felt like it was P3D looking at them.
I thought you
I was like, wait, that's weird.
I thought you were going to say, looking at your screenshots of the F-16 the other night, I can confirm PBR. Because, dude, I posted some really nice screenshots.
It looks good in the F-16, I must say, yeah.
Update for Orbex City Scene Orlando to V1.11. So fire up FTX Central. And South Wings releases additional previews and information for Evalo X-Plane. That's EFIV. Let's take a look at the chat and see if we've got anything else. Buffy says...
got something in there.
Buffy says the people said the Win 10 patch didn't affect P3D, and I didn't see... I definitely saw some effect. It was system stability issues. Orbex...
FSX Spaceport.
FSX
Hold
Spaceport.
We got to talk about this. Do you know what this is, Mr.
Oh, read it out. Read it out.
All right. By the way, I'm still keeping a sharp eye on FSX Spaceport. I hope it comes out soon. I will reinstall FSX for it. You guys covered it a while back on Approach.
Yep.
Submitted by me, by Mr. Daryl.
And it was cool, dude.
Do you remember?
Yeah. It was very cool.
So I opened up the Steam page. There doesn't seem to be a lot of updates for it. But I must say, if it was coming to P3D, I'd be absolutely excited for it. Because I feel like with custom physics, P3D is kind of the best platform to do an orbiter sim. And I'd buy it, and I know I'd spend so much time in it. Right? But like most things in early access on Steam, it kind of never happens. And on the FSX platform, for real, seriously, the idea is great. I just feel like it should be ported to something a bit greater than FSX.
But real talk, how much time are you going to spend anywhere where you can tell the difference between FSX and P3D? And point number 2, how much do you need physics in outer space?
Oh, there's physics in outer space. And you know, for re-entry and just pulling out of the Earth, there's a lot of physics. In space, there might not be a lot of resistance. It's very pure basic physics up there.
Speaking of re-entry, bro, the SpaceX capsule was pretty much a roasted marshmallow.
Oh my god, yeah. You know, I wish we could see what was visible from the inside of the capsule.
Oh, dude, they didn't show anything? Nothing yet?
Not that I've seen. I've not spent a lot of time on Twitter. Elon tends to post about those things a lot, but
it looked pretty burnt up.
Like anything about this mission is exciting. Any kind of little snippet of footage that we can grasp out of that is just amazing.
Yeah.
What a wonderful mission.
And Buffy tosses in some more information on Orlando, by the way. He says to uninstall the old one and then reinstall the new one, not just an update. So,
right.
Yeah.
Space physics is different. Yeah, it is. FSX really is not up to the physics of anything, really. But I'd like to... You know what? I'd like to see that in X-Plane. I'd like to see an orbital sim in X-Plane. And if you fuck up and you deorbit too early, too late, or whatever, you can end up downtown Dallas or something. You know? I'd like to see that.
You end up in Austin's trunk? In the trunk of his car? That's the respawn point.
Yeah, because that's one of the things with, you know, Kerbal is great at physics. Yeah. But it's you cannot land anywhere in the world and be like, I can land in my backyard with an orbiter.
Dang it,
and
Buffy!
That's kind of a good thing.
You always have to remind me. Buffy says, I'm a girl. You know what, Buffy? I'll say this in my defense. Okay? How pleasant is it to be in a room full of guys that aren't saying, oh, Buffy's a girl, Buffy's a girl, Buffy's a girl.
Oh my god. Like
I just always forget. And that's all right. Utmost respect to you, Buffy. Thank you for the reminder once again. One day I will correctly address you as she says.
Boy, oh boy.
Steve says his had an update button. Well, I guess your mileage may vary with that Orlando update. Some will have uninstall, some will have an update button. But
yeah, you can't go wrong with a full reinstall.
Exactly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap up our show for today. Right on cue for an hour. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. I want to thank you all for being here and remind you that we are completely viewer supported. We appreciate your consideration, ! Patron in the chat if you'd like to show the love. We'll see you next week right here on Approach. Until then, Sky 5, everyone.